Valentine's Day is supposed to be all about love and connection and joy and all of that good stuff. But what if the cost of celebrating it is hurting your finances more than it is helping your relationship? Today, we're breaking down the real price of Valentine's Day, not just in dollars, but in stress, debt, and potential detriment to your long term goals. So, without further ado, let's get right into the video. Before I start, I need to address the fact that this isn't an anti Valentine's Day video. It's just about awareness. I'm a sucker for love. I love all things love. So let's keep that in mind. With that clarification out of the way, let's begin by uncovering exactly how much is spent on Valentine's Day. According to a report by the National Retail Foundation, in 2025, shoppers spent $27.5 billion on Valentine's Day shopping. And that number is projected at $27.7 billion for this year, for 2026. In the last 10 years, total Valentine's Day spending has jumped by almost $10 billion, with the biggest jump seen between 2019 and 2020. So year over year, this number has only increased. But what does that actually mean for you as an individual, as a person? With a projected spend of $27.7 billion in 2026, this comes down to approximately $188 per household. Keep in mind that all of this spending is happening only a few weeks after Christmas, and Christmas is the largest and most expensive holiday for consumer spending. So, barely 2 months ago, people have already spent a ridiculous amount of money buying gifts for their friends, family, loved ones, and just 8 weeks after, they're going to spend an additional $27.7 billion on Valentine's Day. But where exactly does this money go? What do people spend this money on? According to the same report by the National Retail Foundation, jewelry accounts for $6.5 billion of spending, while $5.4 billion is spent on romantic dinners or an evening out. $2.9 billion is spent on flowers. $2.5 billion is spent on candy. Again, $2.5 billion is spent on candy, and $1.4 billion is spent on greeting cards. The most popular gift category is candy, which accounts for 56% of the spending, followed closely by flowers and greeting cards at about 40%. Surprisingly, dinners and jewelry occupy the bottom two spots at 35 and 22% respectively. Let's try to tackle the root of the problem. Why do people overspend? Numbers are one thing, but why are people willing to spend hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars in a single day? The first reason is purely emotional. I say it all the time that money is as emotional as it is financial. With respect to relationships and specifically Valentine's Day, a lot of people unfortunately equate spending to love. You think if a person buys me this very expensive gift or if a very expensive piece of jewelry or takes me out to this very fancy restaurant that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to eat at, they must love me. Unfortunately, that cannot be further from the truth because spending does not always equal love. The person who is ultra wealthy, spending might not necessarily be a sign of love or a love language for them. It's just a thing that they can afford to do. On the other side, for a person who is financially struggling, spending doesn't necessarily mean that they love you. Yes, spending could be a sacrifice on their part, a financial sacrifice, but that is not the only yardstick to judge love. The second reason why people spend so much is the societal pressure. In the past, this pressure came only from people that you surrounded yourself with mostly. But unfortunately, these days, because of social media, it is even more intensified. At any given moment, when you log into a social media platform, take Instagram for example, you're going to be inundated by posts of people who are living this glamorous, luxurious life that you can only hope or wish for. Instagram and like this culture of luxury unfortunately sets expectations that are just not real. I'm not saying that people who post these things aren't necessarily living this lifestyle, but I'm saying that that lifestyle isn't necessarily attainable for the average person and you shouldn't use that as your yardstick. But if you're constantly inundated by this, you think that is what I should be getting for Valentine's Day. That's what I should be striving for. And you end up putting yourself into these very compromising positions financially, which only end up hurting you in the long term. The third reason that I'm going to discuss for why people spend so much is the fear of disappointing. This one is a little sad because you find people who try to spend more trying to prove something to their partner or to their loved one. They're trying to prove their commitment to them. They're trying to prove that they can make sacrifices for them. But unfortunately, even with the best intentions, people still end up throwing money down the drain, especially around Valentine's Day. According to a report by Capital One Shopping Research, Americans spend up to $9.5 billion dollars on Valentine's Day gifts that are ultimately unwanted by their recipients. This is so sad to me. Can you imagine $9.5 billion dollars flushed down the toilet because, on one hand, someone was trying to prove something to a person who, on the other hand, honestly didn't care or didn't like the gift. So far, we've discussed how much people spend, what they spend it on, and why they overspend. So now let's go on and discuss the hidden costs. Here's where it gets real. The true cost isn't only what you put on your credit card, it's also what it does to your financial goals and your peace of mind. Let's talk about credit card debt. So many people go into credit card debt because of holiday spending. Remember that there's only about 7 to 8 weeks between peak holiday shopping and Valentine's Day. A lot of people haven't even come out on the other side of the mounting credit card debt that they got into for holiday spending, and they get into even more debt trying to celebrate Valentine's Day. So you just keep digging yourself into a deeper and deeper hole. Unfortunately, that doesn't bring you any closer to your financial goals. On the other hand, let's think about what it does to your savings or investments. If you're already not in debt, but you also haven't planned for Valentine's Day, you can fall into one or two categories. You might end up dipping into an emergency fund. But ask yourself, is celebrating Valentine's Day actually an emergency? Or you might end up delaying your investment or even dipping into your investment budget. These things derail your financial progress. They really don't bring you closer to your financial goals. And of course, we cannot ignore the post-holiday regret. Yes, you might have a good time on Valentine's Day when you're spending. You're thinking, oh, that's a problem for later me. But when later becomes present day you, oh, there's a big problem. And a lot of people feel this sense of dread and actual stress once they see those bills mounting. Again, ask yourself, is the potential stress worth it for this one day event? Around Valentine's Day, most people think that they're actually celebrating love, but if you dig deeper, you might find that you're celebrating expectations put on you by traditional media or by social media, by your family, your friends, your peers, your circle, and that costs you extra. You find that sometimes it really is not about love, it's about how much money you can spend. I want you to think about what a relationship truly values versus what ads sell. So, a relationship would value things like your time, your attention, your consideration, your loyalty. That wouldn't really sell in an ad. An ad would tell you that this person needs this latest designer bag or this jewelry or to eat at this restaurant. These things are nice to have, but are they really the foundation for a healthy, long lasting relationship? How does a $500 dinner create connection? The dinner itself doesn't, but meaningful conversation does. So you could be sat at this expensive dinner. If you're the person who has to bear the burden of paying for it, you're probably thinking, oh, this is going to run me a pretty penny. If you're unfortunate and the person sitting across from you actually doesn't care about you and is just there for the food, they really don't care, right? So you're running yourself into all of this debt. For what? For what reason? And I'm not saying don't eat out, never have an expensive dinner. This isn't about extreme frugality. It's just about being conscious and maybe trying to think about better ways to celebrate. Let's flip the script. How can you celebrate Valentine's Day without breaking the bank, but still showing that you genuinely love and care for someone? For most people, what I'm about to say is not going to be romantic at all. But the first thing you need to do is to set a spending cap together. So decide beforehand with your partner how much you're willing to spend. Do not pressure the other person. Come at it honestly and say, this is how much I'm willing and able to afford comfortably. And if it's $0, that's fine. It's more important to just have that honest conversation so you know where your baseline is and where you're going from there. Second is trying to focus on shared experiences. So I'm talking about going out for a walk, maybe cooking together, have dinner at home, go for a hike if you want to, if that's your jam, go to an art gallery, go to a museum. Focus on meaningful experiences together that would actually build that connection. You could also do something thoughtful but not expensive. In this day of digital media, handwriting a letter can be incredibly romantic. So how about you try that? You could also try creating a memory jar or timeline. So if this is someone that you've been with for a while, think about your favorite memories, make it into a timeline, put it into a mason jar, do something cute and fun, but that doesn't break the bank. And finally, if you think that this person is a long-term partner, you can use this opportunity to discuss and plan out a future with them over a glass of wine or over a home cooked meal or affordable takeout. At the end of the day, Valentine's Day shouldn't feel like a financial burden. It should be the international celebration of love, values, and connection. When you spend with purpose, you protect your future and also your relationship. So save wisely, spend thoughtfully, and make decisions that strengthen your life, not strain it. I'm curious to know, what's the best Valentine's Day that you've ever had that wasn't expensive? Some people might be in the comments trying to get ideas for how to celebrate love this year, so be sure to share some ideas with people who might be interested. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in more content like this, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.